Hi guys, it's William. I know I've been taking constant breaks from videos, but I've been wanting to do another video, so I brainstormed, and I've been wanting to do this video for a while. I attempted it twice already, but couldn't get the hang of it, and I wanted to talk about a video that I already made, specifically the one that took me the longest to make. My 3D animated movie from Michael Vey. Michael Vey Meets Yu-Gi-Oh! If you haven't seen it yet, it takes place during the events of the first Michael Vey book, where Zeus is supposed to kill the Electro Clan. Minor spoilers to the book, but it's only the first one, so maybe not too big of a spoilers. Well, I just said minor. He's supposed to execute them, but Michael tricks him because of insulting his putridness, and he duels them so that Michael can get refreshed after being in cell 25 for so long by stopping time for their duel. Now, it took me a very long time to make. In fact, it took me 6 months. In fact, there were some cards I had to make up because I kept saying, what if, or that might not work because of one circumstance. I made up the duel in like one night. It was pretty easier said than done. I had taught myself a little bit on how to use Blender a few months back. In fact, actually more like a year back, I tried to make a Calvin and Hobbes movie after I was able to first make my first successful armature, but couldn't quite do it. I'm not in animation right now, but it's been a long dream of mine, so it felt good to finish up Michael Vey, the new member, so it could be a reality. But I wanted to tell you about some of the difficulties I had in making the film all by myself. I had to do modeling, animating, rigging, and lighting, and some of it which I had to make up right on the spot. One example is the first scene when Zeus is supposed to execute Michael. So you might have noticed those strange eyes that pop out. The thing was, I didn't really know how to make eyes properly. Well, actually, I did. I watched a YouTube video on how to animate them, but I couldn't find anything on how to put them in the character properly. And when I tried to parent them, and it just didn't work out. So I decided to move the eyes the same way the heads would move. I thought it would work, but there were times where the line that it would follow would go the other way, and go halfway, balance them properly. It ended up being way too much work, and it ended up looking sort of silly and sort of hollow. It looked sort of like their eyes were inside their bodies. And also there are some times where there's just gray backgrounds. The thing is, I didn't know that there was a distance that the camera could go from, and it was up to us how far we wanted. If you ask me, it should just go all the way, but that's before I realized how long rendering took. In fact, some of these scenes took about 24 hours to animate, and I had to, one time I thought one scene rendered, but I had to redo it. I wasted a whole day of animating. But my point is that that scene is actually lost now. I can't really redo it or add anything else because, well, I think my computer had an error and I can't really find that clip. I can find all the other clips, but that one's special. So when scene 2 came around, I thought, I can't do all of this with the eyes. I have to come up with an alternative. So I found a video on how to animate textures. That was sort of my idea, and I tried to looking for some videos, and I couldn't find anything that was really helpful. But then I did when I was already finished the first scene, and it was a breath of fresh air. It was much easier to animate. I was able to take my time, and it was a lot of fun. And also, I was able to use the textures to make like the vortex from the magical blast. It made it look really spectacular. I also used it for Herald of Perfection. There were a few times where my characters were a little funny in their modeling. It was sort of hard to do this certain weight to the skin and clothes, to the solid parts of my characters. It's sort of hard to explain. There were times where a hand would move like that, and there was a part of it that would stick out, that would stay there, that wasn't attached to the bones. It was always some mistake I had in modeling, but I could never find the right part that I had to delete without deleting, well, deleting an entire hand. So my alternative was to just keep changing the weight. And also, you know, in the trailer when Ian looks up, I admit this is a mistake, but it was my first animation project. He gives the finger. He actually looks up. He actually points his middle finger up. Yeah, for some reason the armature in this hand wasn't working. So I hope you avoided that, but I hope you don't think too much of it. Considering he had been locked up in Area D for 3 years, I would probably have put the finger at the Elgin. Anyway, then I started animating the monsters. I did them sort of in order of the duel. I didn't want to add too much of an armature, like give them mouth, because I had to improvise on the mouths of each person. I had to put 3 bones up top, 3 bones at the bottom, and 2 bones per each side of the lip to, so whenever they have to say an O, it could go like that, and whenever they had to go really high. In fact, it took me a lot of practice to get them to blink right. I had to I couldn't figure out how to do an proper eyelid, so I had to make their eyebrows pull like that. I still think it looks pretty gorgeous still, and it's the best I could come up with. And then there was the deal with the smoke. You know, the smoke that goes behind Austin after Zeus shoots that ball? Well, it was very hard to re-replicate that. There was supposed to be some smoke when Zeus sacrifices his rapid-fire magician, but I just couldn't do it the same way, no matter how hard I tried. So I went with an alternative. How many times have I said alternative just now? I keep forgetting. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to point out was the lighting, because at first I didn't know how to light it properly like all of the Pixar and DreamWorks films. They have it very realistic, but when I first put mine to render mode, it looked like everywhere where there wasn't light, everywhere where light was not exactly coming in through the lamp or the sun, it was pitch black. I might have a file of this on my computer back at home. I'm at college right now. But yeah, it looked so weird, and as hard as I tried, I couldn't put the lamps everywhere. And pretty much once again, I found the YouTube video kind of late. Some of the videos work, some of them don't. Yeah, I really sometimes wish I had an animation teacher to help me, but I taught myself for a few months how to make Blender, and I did all of that by myself. And the particles were actually kind of easy. I was hoping to get like a draft of dust, but it was more like just shiny particles often, but I could work with it often. It looked okay enough. The next time I do a Blender project, and I do have a Blender project in mind, I'm going to test out to see if I can do a mist properly. So yeah, the troubles I had were the eyes, the rendering, the models, the rigging, the lighting. So what wasn't very hard? Well, one thing that wasn't very hard was me voice acting. Because, well, I pretty much made this because I love the series, because I wanted to star as Zeus back 2 years ago when my 2 friends and I had made that audition tape. I decided maybe I'm probably too old for the part now. I'm almost 18, but I still really wanted to act that part, so I made it on my own. And I needed some other voice actors, so I got Jamie and Joanna in there as well. Jamie plays Tara, you know this, but I actually made a mistake in the credits. Joanna plays Abigail. Tara isn't in this. And actually, a girl voices Austin, a friend of mine who has a very high voice. It sort of reminded me of all those actors like Tara Strong and Anika Bonsuin who are very good at voicing high-pitched voice. I had another voice actor in mind for Austin, but he was too busy. But anyway, I'm not going to make fun of that anymore. What was I? But yeah, for voice acting of the other people, it was kind of tricky. Some of them were better, and I'm not going to name names on who was harder to do. But at the time, we were renovating our house, and I didn't have a microphone like this. I only had my computer's microphone. So people were up in our kitchen renovating and using heavy machinery, and we had to wait until they could quiet down. and it was so annoying. It was aggravating because I had actually put up posters for this movie. I was able to schedule a premiere at my library. The entire teen council, the people who I used to be with to help the library came, and one friend, so it was a great premiere. But I had put up posters to advertise my premiere around the school. So I had already set a date and I still wasn't done. I still had to do some voicing. And when my friend scheduled, just and also my computer is was kind of slow because when I put everything into iMovie, when I had to get all the sound effects and get all the voices, it really took up a lot of space. And often I would have to export an unfinished copy, like do an export with only a quarter of all the music and sound effects and voicing done, and then hope for the best for the rest. I didn't really organize it too well. It should have been like 2 minutes per every movie and then combine them when they were all solid, but that I ended up not doing that, and by the time I changed my mind it was too late. And what's worse was Liam Brierly, the boy who voiced Michael, when we were voicing his lines 2 days before, our power went out because of the people renovating our house. I was so mad. It felt like the universe was just against me and he had to go. So in the evening I ended up voicing the rest of Michael's lines, trying my best to sound just like him. Yeah, nightmare. And then this doesn't even end. I'm encouraging you to try an animated movie, to try to make one if you still feel like you can do animation. This isn't to make you feel like it's impossible, because it sure is possible, but the problems didn't stop there. Then at my premiere, it was very tough because the computer that they had, it didn't correspond with the USB stick that I had. Then and it only corresponded with PCs, so we had to get this old Toshiba laptop we had, and it was full of viruses. It was so slow. It's right now it's probably gathering dust in the basement right now, as far as I know. And I mean, it worked out, but then we couldn't really attach it to the smart board in the laptop basement. It's actually a very opulent basement, if you ask me. We played Jeopardy about it one time. But yeah, that didn't work. So we then went up to the top floor to find another projector, and then it seemed to work, except it turned out it was too, well, quiet. Like, there was only one microphone, the microphone from my TV, and even at full speed, even at on full blast, it didn't sound like much. Um, and the librarian thought that maybe we could just be very quiet, but my uncle Grant came. I actually dedicated my fourth book to him for other reasons other than this, but I might as well have mentioned that because he saved it yet again. He said that he had a microphone in his car that he used for the radio, so he walked back and got it, and it turned out perfect. So yeah, that was about 7 things that went wrong during the premiere, and about 10 things that I had to fix all by myself without any knowledge of them, improvising when I was making the movie. So, so yeah. So now that I have more knowledge of Blender, I'm going to be try to be more patient about the models of each person the next time I make a movie. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that if you ever make an animated movie or do some sort of animation that you won't have the troubles I've had, and I encourage you to do your absolute best. It did take me 6 months, so the fact that I'm an author and a movie and book critic and I have school right now and a social life, I don't have much time on my hands sometimes. I'll see what happens. But for now, I feel like sometimes my desire is infinite, like man's desire is infinite. But for now, I think I'm just going to acknowledge the fact that I wanted to do an animated movie and I pulled it off. I should be happy. I am happy. So I hope you enjoyed the video once again, and I'll be making more videos soon. In fact, I'm hoping to make another trick or treat one this Halloween. Boo!